What's up, guys? So, humanity on display with Just Bang 'em today. You see how I'm dropping bars in this bed? Your boy already dropping bars immediately. So, listen. Real shit, no bullshit, no plan. Real seriousness. Everybody calm down. Please buy a t-shirt. Buy one. Just do it, dude. Just do the shit. Just buy one. Sign up. Buy for the Patreon. Do some shit. Fund me. Pay for me, please. Real shit. Serious. I had a conversation today. I've actually had a lot has happened, matter of fact. So, right out the gate, Diddy is busy. He's got shit going on in his own life. So it's just me. So, deal with it. But had a conversation today with somebody whom I really respect about a person who I don't respect so much. However, the conversation was interesting. This person went to a HBCU, and which typically doesn't, I'm neutral to in general. I don't know anything about them, like personal, experience. So I don't really typically care too much. Now, one issue I did have, and it is represented in the way that this person behaves daily, is, I would call it collegiate indoctrination. That's what I would call it. It's a fancy word for basically brainwashing from a college. So if you look back, if at that age, if you're in your like early 20s, like late teens, early 20s, something like that, when you're in college, you probably remember being the most militant about a thing that you could have ever been. I remember distinctly. I was hyper militant, like anti-racist, like how everybody is now. Man, it was embarrassing, but I'm different now. I'm 32 as of the other day. Yay me. So I've grown, but many people remember and probably not fondly remember how I was. I was unpleasant to be around. If I'm going to be real with myself, the cause was cool, it was just but I wasn't a very pleasant human being to be around. I was being unrealistic. In itself, it's naive to even like pursue something so in such a zealot like manner. Now, I'm not judging this person. I won't, because like I said, I was there. But it brings up an important topic that I think we should discuss. Or I'd like to discuss with myself, having you guys listen. Can't say we. But it's basically, it goes like this. If you allow somebody to conquer your early 20s so hard, okay, that's a bad explanation. Let me do it like this. You're very, very vulnerable in that age range. I didn't get my shit together until, like, as far as my mindset, until I was like 25, 26. And that started calming down a little bit. But you're very, very vulnerable in that window of time. That like 16 to like 24-ish, something like that. It's a very vulnerable time. And then you're becoming physically capable to act on some crazy shit that's going on in your mind. Now, you got to think, you're going through that like early teens, or that whole teenage depression stage, the hormones and all that shit, because I know everybody remembers how rough that was. You go from that, and then you fall right into this weird zealot thing. It's like the thumb on the scale. You put your thumb on one end of a scale, the other end goes up, right? Now you let your thumb off of that end that's lowered. They don't equal out immediately. They counteract. It's almost an exact opposite extreme. Then they do it again at a lesser degree, lesser, until they level out. So you become feeling like a victim, from your teens, because of just life is like that. There's just the way it is. Then the thumb gets taken off the scale, and now you feel like the opposite of a victim and for the first time in your life. So you take full advantage of it. You become like this crazy, like hyper violent. You know, if you're a guy, you're like more violent than you've ever been. Even if you're not a violent person, you're more violent to your respective degree than you've ever been. And it affects you in different ways. But point being is that you become a polar opposite of that. Just as extreme, but in a different degree or a different angle. So what the colleges do and the military does is they take advantage of that. So in my case, I joined the military. So the Marine Corps is like, yo, you're 17, get your mama to sign that shit and come on over. I am angry as fuck at the world, the entire world. So it made for the Marine Corps love that shit, They capitalize on it and they push, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in that degree, it's not that there's nothing wrong, but it's the thing. It's the job. People are needed to kill other people. It's just the way the world is. Until we level up our consciousness, that's where we're at right now. So combat will always need to be, taken. It'll need to be conducted on behalf of fucking whoever, and they're gonna use people, in that category to do that. Now, the biggest issue here, I'm rambling, but the biggest issue here is this: you allow yourself to have your strings pulled, and I've preached this as much as I can to as many people that will listen. Do your best to avoid being drawn into, an identity, or drawn into some type of identity or an ideology. Now, the thing there is you spend your entire life trying to be different, and trying to be a thing. We're all trying to know ourselves. At the end of the day, we all just want to know what the fuck we are. We all do. And in that, I think a lot of people, it manifests itself, the frustration of not knowing who you are manifests itself in attacking who another person might be, or how you might see another person, or what you think they might be. At the end of the day, dude, we all just want to be who we are. That's it, man. And we all want to know what that is, and no one has a fucking answer. It's one of those things where self-identity is an art. It's not a science. There's no science there. Who you are is an art. You can't be told how to find it. You can't be told, there's no booklet. There are books, I'm sure, but there's no one right way. Something might work for one and not work for another. So there's not any one right way to do this. Now, one thing I'll say is this: the human mind is a complex thing, obviously, and the way we react and interact with each other is also very complex. But I'll tell you this: Jerry Springer had a point, man. He said, just be, what did he say? Be good to each other and good to yourselves, or something like that. Why is that so hard? Why is that so fucking hard? Why is it so difficult to just be a little better to yourself? Because then you can be better to somebody else, and they can be better to themselves. Why are we always like up each other's ass about nonsense? Everybody wants to check everybody. And the only reason they want to do it is because they want to elevate themselves, and they don't have the knowledge to do it in any other way other than stepping on another person. Well, how come you can't stand up using just your legs and the earth? Why you need a person underneath you to elevate yourself? Why? Why is there always got to be a victim or an oppressor? And I don't give a fuck. Listen, if you're upset about it, you need to really listen to what I'm saying. If you're really truly upset about me using the word oppressor and victim, I mean, you might need to look at if it's you I'm talking about. You want to identify as a victim? Your life is going to suffer for it. Not your oppressor. It'll be your life that suffers. You want to feel like somebody's done you wrong and there's no way out because that's easier than just standing on your own 2 feet and standing up on your own and doing it on your own, then, do you. But at the end of the day, who's going to suffer? The guy that you say oppresses you or does you so wrong? That boyfriend that fucked you up? The boyfriend that just, he did me so wrong and now I have trust issues. No, you identify as a person with trust issues. And until you change that identity, you will become that person. This is in line with one of those fucking things. I don't know if it's everywhere, but in the South, you'll routinely hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm stubborn." "Oh, he's stubborn," and they say it in like a way that compliments the person. Why is that a compliment? Just because it's civilly, culturally acceptable to have a flaw? That's a flaw. Being stubborn is not a good thing. It's not something you should be proud of. You shouldn't go around flaunting it, but people do. And that one small example carries over into many other things that we talk about daily. How many times have you heard somebody brag about being a bad thing? "Oh, I'm petty. I'm petty." Great. So you're small. Look up petty. You're small. Congratulations. And you're bragging about it. Words have power. And not in the sense that, "Oh, that word hurt me." In the sense that what you say and what you tell yourself you are, you will become. I'll tell you a story real quick. When I was in the Marine Corps, and I had not the best education coming in. I had good old-fashioned Duval County public school education, right? So I went to a bunch of shit schools, I don't know. I probably, in middle school, I've been to probably 5 or 6 middle schools around Florida, and most of them in Jacksonville. And I went to a bunch in one high school and a bunch of middle schools. Anyways, so I had a varied, shitty education, and I didn't get a chance to really sink in and get stuck in, as the British say, to a curriculum because I was moved out immediately, and that's no fault of anybody's, but that's just the way life is sometimes. So I get into the Marine Corps with very little education, which wasn't really required at the time. We were in the middle of a war, so it was all good. Now, I went in ghetto as fuck, ignorant, ghetto, and very embarrassing, to be honest with you, like hyper embarrassing, to the point where it's like, this is a little annoying, and went through probably 2.5 years of just being ignorant. And the very last, I don't know, maybe it's longer than that, probably about 3 years. So towards the end of my second to last deployment, I'm sitting on the boat, we were on a med float with the Navy at the time, and I was talking to Diddy, and I was like, "Bro, I don't want to be like this when I'm 30. I don't know, for some reason 30 was old to me at the time, and I was like maybe, I don't know, 21 years old, and at that point in time, I started to have kind of a switch in my thinking, and they had this really, really small, like, baby library on the boat, and it was I don't know, maybe it was like a broom, like a glorified broom closet, and it had a bunch of stupid nonsense books, just random donations and stuff like that. So we didn't have internet access like that, so that was my only source of knowledge besides other people. So I told him this story, and he's like, "Yeah, I feel the same way. We need to level up ourselves in general." And I agreed. So I had an idea to go into the library and start fiddling around with books. So I found this I think it's The Alchemist or something like that. I can't remember. Something to that nature was the first book. And started reading, and then by the time it was over with, I had read books nonstop for like 4 more months, and that helped. But the big power there, in terms of my change, was my mindset. Because going into that, I started identifying as a smart person. I was like, I'm smart. I'm smart. I kept telling myself that this is what I was. And I don't know if you believe in manifestation or what it is, but at the end of the day, I had convinced my subconscious that I was an intelligent person. So it started making me smart. I started doing things that would fulfill that self-proclamation. So I would tell myself I'm this thing. In this case, it was a good thing. Slowly became that. Started doing the things to make that be who I actually am in real life, which in this case was reading books. So fast forward a couple years, I got out of the military and started, really diving into like expanding my knowledge base and becoming more open-minded and smarter and talking to people that I didn't agree with initially, and trying to like get over the emotional response to actually listen to what they were saying. And it helped a lot, so much so that and I don't know if anybody here considers an IQ test as an actual indicator of intelligence, but I took one and I scored like a 135 on it, which is cool, right? Can't get into college still failed an exam to get into college at the time, but it did a lot for me. So later on I did end up getting accepted to college, and I just graduated like last month, so that's cool. But my main thing is this: your identity, whatever you call yourself, you can use identity to do great fucking things. You can tell yourself, if you know you're a fucking idiot, you can tell yourself you're smart and then do things in conjunction. Use those two tools together, and then you will become that. Now, what people are doing now is they're telling themselves that they're, like right this second, people are telling themselves that they're, experiencing injustice. And some most likely are. There's no doubt in my mind that some people are experiencing some type of injustice, some type of fucking oppression. But what you do, and you have no control over that. You have some degree of control, but where you have true control at is what you identify as. If you get oppressed and then you identify as a victim, that's two tools. Think about being oppressed as the action of reading a book, in my case, and then identifying as a victim as the when I said that I was telling myself that I was smart. You use those two tools, and now you become that, and there's nothing else. That is now who you are. Now you can be oppressed and still not be a victim. You can definitely do that. You don't need to be told what you are. Again, strings on a puppet. You do not need to be told that you are this thing. Just because you're being treated like shit doesn't mean you need to identify that. Just because you get beat on by your husband or whatever doesn't mean that you need to identify as a battered wife. You don't need to live that life. You have more control. And some people, I'm certain, and this is very sad, but I think some people like to relinquish control. That's why a lot of conspiracy theories take off so much, is because it's easier to just say, hey, the government did it. Can't do anything about that. It's easier. It's easier. And that same concept applies here. You get stuck in this rut that you built yourself. You dig a hole and put yourself in it, and then say, oh, you throw the shovel and any other way of getting out away from you, and you're like, oh no, I can't get out. I can't. Oh, I'm in this. Oh, come save me. Come save me, world. And then if you get what you want and somebody comes and saves you, then you dig another hole. You have a new thing, a new way to be saved from a new fucking, plague. And this ends up being every day for you. And how are you happy like that? How can you live like that? It's harder to be. Why? You know what? Here's what I want. Instead of identifying as stubborn and that being socially acceptable, why don't we identify as imperious and just socially accept that flaw? Like, okay, I'm imperious. I'm too good for that, and that. Meh, you're beneath me. I'm not even bothering. Why not do that? Why can't we just, if we want to do some shit, Why can't stuck up be one of them? I mean, it's generally not gonna hurt very many people. That's an unpopular opinion, but it's just how I feel. Let's try a new one, is my opinion. Same thing applies to politics. You start to identify, and we preach this shit on this channel constantly, but stop identifying as toxic shit. Identify as something that's gonna level you up. I love that we're now everybody's like identifying as business owners and entrepreneurs and all this stuff. I love that because that's an identity that can get you somewhere, even if you're not really one. I own, I sell eyelashes or whatever. All right, cool. It's a small business. You make zero profit, but it's an identity that's productive because you can capitalize on that. You can build yourself off of that. You can level up your consciousness with that. Now, if you run out and you're like, oh, whatever, my boss hates me, so I'll never succeed. All right, your boss may hate you. You may suck at that job, but stop telling yourself that you'll never succeed. You don't need both of those dynamics. Your boss hates you, Roger, got it. There's no avoiding facts, Your boss hates you, cool, whatever. You're in a job that's dominated by males or white people or black people or whatever, something that you're not. Okay, there might be a little bit of favoritism in that, and you might have to deal with you might have to overcome some fucking, injustice or maybe a little bit of oppression or something that's going to stop you or get in your way. But guess what? You overcome it, and then you are better than them out the gate, and you're on another level now because you've overcome oppression. You've overcome all this shit. You don't need to be stuck down. So I'm going to wrap it up. But at the end of the day, here's what you need to understand. You tell yourself what you want to be. If you want to be a victim, then continue telling yourself that. If you want to be somebody that's, successful and making a lot of money, tell yourself that that's whatever's important to you. Be that. There's no one stopping you. There's people attempting to, but there's no one truly stopping you at becoming what you want to be. So, again, buy some fucking shirts. And I will see you guys on the next one.